Vinita ji, I think can we start? We'll check whether our chief guest is
Yes, yes.
around.
Chief guest has joined, sir. We can start, sir. I think. Shyam, sir?
Yeah,
Good
Chandran
morning,
sir,
Dr.
namaste.
Patil, all the friends who are present here. Namaste.
Namaste, sir. Namaste. I think Vinita ji, we can start now.
Yeah, JP sir will start, sir.
Morning to everyone.
Yes, sir.
Good morning to all the participants. Good morning to all the panelists. Good morning to all the eminent academicians. On behalf of NAAC, on behalf of Director NAAC, Professor Yashi Sharma ji, on my personal behalf, we welcome all of you on this important webinar in light of National Education Policy 2020. We hope that you will be immensely benefited with the eminent speaker that we have today, Dr. Harivarshan Chaturvedi ji. Just to give just a small brief about Sir's profile, Sir is currently Sir is professor and director at Birla Institute of Management Technology, Greater Noida, India, and also an alternate president of Education Promotion Society for India. Sir has in more than 4 decades, that is around 45 years of experience in teaching, research, and academic administration. Sir has been the director of All India Council for Technical Education, a statutory body under the Government of India. Being a renowned management educationist, Sir has been deeply involved with national bodies like IMA, NHRDN, AIMS, UN's, GCNU, the Indian Management Conclave, to name a few. Dr. Chaturvedi sir is also on the board of governor of several prominent universities and higher education institutions in India. Sir is also the member of Quality Management, Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar University, Agra, and member board of the Learners International School, Greater Noida. Sir is a trustee and executive president of the Education Promotion Society for India, that is EPSI, a national network of universities and B schools of India. Sir is also the member of Governing Council and chair of membership committee of the UN Global Compact Network India. He has also authored and edited 5 books which are related to various challenges before Indian business, economy, and higher education, such as quality accreditation and ranking, a silent revolution in the offering in Indian higher education system, and Sir latest books, that is 2 volumes, which has been edited by Dr. Ajay Kumar De, is a new normal titled The New Normal Challenges of Managing Business, School and Ecological Systems in the Post-COVID-19 Era. Sir, on behalf of NAAC, we are immensely privileged also, and we take this opportunity also to welcome you on this important webinar and accepting our invitation as a chief guest. May I now humbly request Dr. Jagannath Patil, sir, advisor NAAC, to please formally welcome all the participants, the chief guest, the expert for today's webinar, and give a gist about today's webinar. Dr. Jagannath Patil, sir.
Thank you, Indaji. Uh, Greetings to the chief guest of today, Professor Chaturvedi ji, and greetings to all the delegates, academicians who have joined for this important webinar organized by National Assessment and Accreditation Council. On behalf of our director, Professor S.C. Sharma, and the Northern Region team, which comprises myself, Dr. Pratibha Singh, Deputy Advisor at Delhi office, Dr. Sham Singh Inda, Dr. Vinita Sahu, Assistant Advisors. It's my pleasure to welcome you all for this interactive session, which will be uh, uh, there for 1.5 hours. And we have chosen the topic of NEP and its integration into the system. I just wanted to give you a brief context. As you know that NEP is now in various stages of implementation. At some stages it is only being discussed. Some policy plans are already in place, and some are still waiting for arriving a larger consensus among the society and the academia. So in this context, the Ministry of Education has requested NAAC to engage with all the stakeholders, particularly higher education institutions, faculty members, and leaders of the educational institutions, and to get their views on how best we can implement the intents of the policy in letter and spirit. This particular series of webinars we are conducting across the country for every state and union territory of the country. And today we are having this program focused on Delhi, but I'm sure the colleagues from other states of northern region have also joined. We have invited them to join, keeping in mind the experts from Delhi who will be joining to this particular webinar. The focus of today's the NAAC's activities currently, as envisaged by the ministry, is to talk about a few points to begin with. I will just narrate that few points. We wanted to focus on the NEP's approach on multidisciplinary and interdisciplinary education. Then very important initiative that is perhaps the talk of the town or talk of the nation, we can say, in terms of academia, that is about academic bank of credits, the challenges that we are going to face. So academic bank of credit is very important topic. And then we will be also talking about the skill development component, which is emphasized in the NEP 2020. Another important topic we at NAAC wanted to discuss is about appropriate integration of the Indian knowledge system, or IKS, into the higher education stream, and how HEIs can adapt to it and benefit from it. Another area of focus is on outcome-based education. Many of you are aware that the UGC and NAAC have been insisting about the outcomes-based education. NAAC's framework is talking about the POs, and OBE, graduate attributes, and so on since last cycle, and that will be emphasized more now. Another important aspect is about distance education and online education. So these are the 6 points that we wanted to focus. But in addition, to get a broader perspective of all the issues relating to NAP, we have invited very eminent expert Chaturvedi ji, whom I know since last several years. And apart from the introduction that my colleague Indaji has given, I know him as a very vibrant and what you can say, active academician who focuses on the current issues, not on the theories mostly, but on what are the challenges of the recent times. So his publications and activities through EPSI, through BIMTech, all are focused on addressing the current challenges that the Indian higher education is facing and creating some kind of uh, architecture for the future of the higher education. So like you, I am also equally eager to listen to Professor Chaturvedi ji, and then after that I will add maybe a few slides on behalf of NAAC to focus on the 6 points that we are trying to trigger the discussion on, and then we will open this forum for the inputs from all the academicians daily and around. So I can see very senior academicians who have joined this webinar today, and it will not be a monologue, it will be dialogue, and we will be looking forward to your inputs and considering that, carrying it forward to the policy makers. So with this brief introductory remarks, I once again welcome you all and look forward to the interesting session today. Namaskar.
Thank you, sir. May I now request our chief guest and keynote speaker, Dr. Chaturvedi sir, to please share his presentation and throw some light about NEP. Chaturvedi
Thank you,
sir.
NAAC. Thank you, Dr. Patil and his colleagues from NAAC, who are the organizers of today's interaction. I understand that very eminent educationists, educational administrators, academic leaders have joined this conversation. I do not claim that I know a lot about the intricacies of national education policy, but I consider myself as a student of higher education because I started my journey as a teacher in 1976. So, first of all, I would like to tell all the participants in this conversation that the future of higher education and future of the global economy is full of possibilities, opportunities, but also there are big challenges ahead us. National education policy has given a long horizon starting from 2020 up to 2050, almost 30 years. And similarly, I have been reading lot of books and lot of researches about the future of the economy and the future of technology. Only few days back, I was listening a talk given by a Silicon Valley technologist who has converted himself into a philosopher and social thinker. He was delivering a talk at Google about AI and its challenges. And there have been lot of prediction about the future possibilities created by exponential technologies, particularly AI, robotics. And AI is going to create a situation where many of the big problems of the world can be solved in coming decades. But there are many dangers also. Dangers when AI will supersede human intelligence. So far, human intelligence is still way ahead. But the gentleman who was speaking to Google, he has recently published a book. I will share the title with you. And he predicted that by 2029, if AI will leave behind human intelligence. So the power of AI will become much bigger than human wisdom, intellect. So disruptive technology of all kinds led by AI will rule the world in all sphere of life, in science, technology, economy, transportation, mobility, culture, everywhere. Whatever changes we have witnessed during last 35 years, or when the last policy was implemented launched in 1986 and came into full implementation after 6 years. But after 35 years, last 30 years have been also with lot of rapid changes in India, particularly Indian economy, Indian society. So now the question is how the national education policy can deal with the challenges of technology, disruptive technology, I am talking, challenges of global warming. Just the discussions are going on and in the conclusion stage at the summit, Global Climate Summit held at Glasgow. India has asked for $1 trillion financial aid from developed nations. A big challenge is in global climate issues and global warming. Chennai and many districts of Tamil Nadu are having torrential rain. Yesterday, the airport at Chennai was closed till evening because of heavy rains. These are untimely rains in the month of November, in the month of October. Many big cities in our country are having flood situation in recent years. Be it Bombay, be it Chennai, be it Bangalore, be it Hyderabad. In our country, we face this dilemma. Same time, some states were facing drought and some states are facing flood. This is not a small issue. Every year, India loses worth $60 billion because of the natural calamities arising out of global warming. So national education policy has given a futuristic framework. It has given a perspective of next few decades, how the Indian youth and how the Indian teachers, how the Indian educationists will face all the challenges. And many of you may be belonging to IT discipline. You may be knowing very well that in IT, there is a famous law, Moore's law. And in 1965, Professor Henry Moore predicted that the computation power of a microchip will double every 18 months. And the cost will be halved. This rule, he predicted that it will last for a few decades. But even now, after 52 years or so, this rule is still prevalent. And what is the big thing it is creating? It is creating infinite opportunities all over the world for the global economy, in which India and China have to play a big role. According to Moore's law, whatever has been predicted, it can be applied to the computing power of the smartphone, mobile or smartphone. Currently, 8 billion people are having phone in their hands in the world. Computing power, current computing power of the microchip inside this smartphone, which is providing so many functions, it used to cost millions of rupees 30 or 30 years back, whatever facilities are provided in a smartphone. But now we can purchase a good smartphone by paying 30,000 plus or even less than this. So current computing power is almost to the brain of a mouse. But within next 15 years or so, it will be equal to the computing power of a human brain. And even by 2040 or thereafter, within next 20 years or so, it will cross the combined computation power of the brains of all human beings on the earth. It is not far away, 20 to 30 years horizon. The computing power in a smartphone will cross the combined computing power of all human brains. This is not my prediction because I do not belong to IT. This is the prediction of Singularity University, which is a think tank, technology think tank in USA. And of course, it has been endorsed by many other technologists. So I think since the committee set up by the government under the chairmanship of Dr. Kasturi Rangan, it was being led by an eminent scientist. So they have tried to use their acumen, their experience, their wisdom, because no education policy in India can be made only for next few years, 5 or 10 years. Last 5 policy lasted 35 years. Even the first education policy, which was launched in 68, and only after several decades, the next policy came into existence by 1992. So 1968, 1992, and now 2020. A very matured policy has been announced by the Education Minister in July 2020, July 29th, when we were passing through the COVID. An inauspicious thing has happened, that is COVID. When the policy was announced, July 29, 2020, almost 1 year, more than 1 year has passed, and whole world and our country too passed through very severest kind of crisis of humanity. So for last 1 hour and more than 1 hour, last 1 year and more than 1 year, the implementation has been very tardy, very slow. We were expecting that it will be very fast, but now we have realized in a global pandemic, it is always difficult to do a fast progress. Everything has been slowed down. Even the economy nosedived 7%. Instead of having any growth, it declined. The gross national product growth has been minus 7%. No growth, negative growth. So I realize and I accept that the implementation is taking time. Only few major announcements have been made. One of them, our Honorable Prime Minister announced, and he launched himself Academic Bank of Credit. And some of the progressive states of our country, from South India and even from Central India, they have announced that they are starting their own action plan to implement NEP 2020. Karnataka is one of them. So here, when most of the academicians, academic leaders are from North India, I would like to make a point without any negativity about the region which I belong. But since we belong, we should know the weaknesses and strength of our own regions. I think in accreditation and also in expansion of higher education, southern states, particularly Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Karnataka, and of course western state Maharashtra, they have taken a lot of lead. Even the data being released by NEC speaks a volume about this fact that there is a lot of momentum in southern part of our country. Many of the deemed universities, mostly from southern part of India, they are leading in NIRF. In top ranks ranking, there are deemed private universities from southern part of India. There may be some skeptics about, but I trust that NIRF is following some objective criteria which is applicable to all. Similarly, NAAC accreditation data and combined data of NBA and NAAC speaks that hardly 20% colleges and 25 or 30% universities have so far been accredited. And universities and colleges which have completed 2 cycles or they are in 3rd cycle, they are mostly from South India or Maharashtra. So I would exhort, I would request that the revolution of quality, because so far we have tried to provide school education for all. Still in higher education, our enrollment is 27% or so. Gross enrollment is 27% or so. Now we are expected to achieve 50% gross enrollment ratio by 2035 within next 15 years. I think a major role is to be played by the institutions from Northern India, Hindi-speaking states. But now in future, only quality institutions will survive. There is intense competition and students, there has been a revolution. Earlier, students were not having detailed knowledge about the quality of the education being offered by a particular university or particular institution. But now the social media and information technology, they have made it possible that without going to the campus, without talking to the alumni, the students can know the exact information about the infrastructure, about intellectual capital, about the graduate outcomes, about the placement, everything they can find out by using simply their mobile phone. So there is intense competition. Students have many choices. Those who are mobile or belong to enlightened educated families, they have many options to choose. So I will make a point that future belongs to the quality universities and quality institutions. And quality in our country largely measured, determined by the national accreditation bodies, and NAAC and NBA both started their journey in 1994 because it was recommended in the second education policy that we should have national accreditation bodies. Of course, the Kasturi Rangan Committee and subsequently educational policy announced by the government talk about multiple accreditation bodies under the NAAC, a new body to be formed in coming year. And but even then, the leadership of NAAC and AAC will definitely get opportunity because they have very matured experience of running accreditation activities for last 27 years or so. So here I have given my preliminary thoughts. There is a divide between the southern states and northern states, which is creating a lot of economic divergence, a lot of economic differences. And even in higher education, school education, we find the same divide is there. It has been reported by researchers. And I think we have little time left, the institutions from northern India, to catch the bus for quality education. So now I will give a general overview about the national education policy, how it is connected to the SDG, Sustainable Development Goal, number 4, which is quality education for all. Even we are signatory to the Sustainable Development Goal, and India has committed itself, and I think little time left within next few years, 10-15 years. Sustainable Development Goals also require that the targets given by the UN body should be completed, should be achieved by the signatory nations, and SDG goal is there for us, that is quality education for all. So the whole discussion of national education policy is focused on how to improve the quality of Indian higher education institution. There are structural problems, there are legacy problems, there are economic problems, financial problems. But in this world, by using the technology, by using the wisdom of last so many centuries, when India has entered to the formal kind of education and modern education, I think it is possible, not within 2 or 3 years, but definitely the horizon given by the National Education Committee, Dr. Kasturi Rangan Committee and National Education Policy, which is the horizon that within 15 to 20 years, we can achieve a lot which are currently looking not achievable. And the reason is that the technology, exponential technology, will help us to achieve all those things which could not be achieved so far. So I will now start by PPT. Will take uh, 15-20 minutes to complete it. Then I will conclude by giving some more thoughts that how the those institutions aspiring for accreditation, they can connect themselves and they can aspire for accreditation from NAAC or NBA by following the wisdom of the national education policy, understanding it clearly, and knowing very well the future challenges as well as the future opportunities. So let me start with the vision of the national education policy, and uh, uh, some of the keywords are highlighted in red color that uh, we are aspiring for an education system in future which is rooted in Indian ethos, and we are also aspiring that the education system that contributes directly to transforming India into, that is Bharat, sustainably into an equitable and vibrant knowledge society. So equality is a big issue. The quality institutions are not having many people from the downtrodden sections of our society, socially deprived or economically deprived sections of our society. We have to make a vibrant knowledge society uh, by following the wisdom given in the national education policy, and we want to make India a global knowledge superpower. Major problems which have been cited by the Dr. Kasturi Rangan committee in our higher education system. One is fragmentation. Our institutions are large, 45,000 plus colleges, 1,000 plus universities, but the size of many universities and many colleges is unviable. They are facing a lot of financial problems during last 1.5 years because COVID has ruined their financial viability. So fragmentation is a big problem, and currently these institutions are not emphasizing or focusing on learning outcomes. These are only focusing on developing cognitive skills, uh, and the rigid separation of discipline, which is the walls between different faculties and different disciplines, is also an endemic problem of near higher education. That those who are studying science, they do not know about liberal arts. Those who are studying liberal arts, they do not know the law education, and similarly. So inequality, as I told you, that it's a very big problem, that although there has been a lot of improvement in backward areas, also the gender ratio has improved, but still our higher education is not giving equal opportunity to all sections of society. And autonomy is a big issue, not only for teachers. Teachers are not getting the requisite amount of autonomy, and institutions are not also getting it. So these are the problems which are being faced. All of you may be aware about these issues, these problems we have been discussing for last so many decades, and the key changes which have been proposed by the national education policy, that we have to move towards multidisciplinarity, that single discipline institutions like management institutions, which I belong, PGDM institution, we have only one faculty, we are running only one program. So standalone institutions, yeah, a law college or a B.Ed college, it will not survive long. So now the policy has spoken that all institutions should achieve a minimum size of 3,000 within the next 10-15 years, and for that they have to become multidisciplinary. Then autonomy has been supported very well by national education policy, that autonomy will be improved, and the curriculum, pedagogy, assessment, and student support activities, there will be a big revamping, and the uh, integrity part of faculty and institutional leadership will also be strengthened, because so far we have neglected, and there has been a lot of complaints about plagiarism. The National Research Foundation is being established to promote research activities with 20,000 crores of annual funds pooled by different ministries. And government would like to strengthen the independent boards in higher education, so that there is no interference of the government, and about the regulation, which has been a very big problem, that government has used, national education policy has used this dictum, light but tight, means it will be light, regulation will be least, but it will be tight to or to remove the possibility of any kind of commercialization or unethical things. And the in one sentence, it can be described, the key change is giving emphasis to access, equity, and inclusion. So these are some of the targets by 2040, the all higher education institutions shall aim to become multidisciplinary institutions, each of which will have to 3,000 more students. So financial viability is not possible with 500 students or 1,000 students. It should be around 3,000. And then by 2030, each district should have one large multidisciplinary higher education institution. There are many districts in our country which have been lagging in overall economic development. They are also suffering in having a multidisciplinary college or university. Gross enrollment ratio, as I shared earlier, that it should increase to 50% by 2035, and both public and private institutions will be encouraged. Of course, the government would like to develop a large number of outstanding public institutions. I have doubt that the public institutions, particularly public universities of the states, will have the tough time because they are not being fully supported by the state governments and the central government for doing anything for which huge funds are required. And the meaning of university has been also defined that it will mean a multidisciplinary institution of higher learning that offers UG and graduate programs with high quality teaching, research, and community engagement. So there are three components of the activities of a university: teaching, quality research, and a quality engagement with the community. So this has been the major aspirations given by the national education policy, and institutional restructuring has been proposed. Affiliated colleges will gradually phase out, and there will be three kinds of institutions: teaching universities, research universities, and autonomous colleges. And all the three kinds of institutions will be empowered or given power to confer degrees. So the British system, which we have borrowed, that a university will have the power, legal power to confer a degree. And now there are universities having 1,000 colleges affiliated, doing nothing to provide quality education. They are simply conducting examinations and they have no control on the affiliated colleges. So this problem has been dealt by suggesting the phasing out of affiliated colleges. This is known to all of us that the undergraduate degree has been restructured, and it will be 3 or 4 years duration. There will be exit options after 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, and in the 4th year, the multidisciplinary bachelor degree will be the most preferred option, and it will have some research component also. So improving the learning environment and support for a student, and not only for a student, but teachers also, I think basic amenities are not available to students in majority of the institutions in our country because of the neglect of higher education, because of the poor viability of our higher education institutions. Institutions and faculty will have good autonomy to innovate. I think autonomy is very important for innovation. Without innovation, we cannot deal with the future problems and problems related to curriculum, pedagogy, assessment. So innovation will be on the horizon in higher education for next 20 years, and innovations will not be possible unless freedom to experimentation is given. So the government has announced that the requisite autonomy will be given to teachers as well as institutions, and higher education institutions will decide largely the assessment system, and which will be used for deciding the graduating outcomes or final certification. Choice-based credit system will also be revised for increasing innovation and flexibility, and higher education institution will move to criterion-based grading system that assesses students' achievement based on the learning goals for each program. So learning goals, learning outcomes have become very important, and I think for last few years, even before the announcement of national education policy, our national accreditation bodies like NAAC and NBA, they are talking about, they are using the parameters of learning outcomes. And this is a big revolution, silent revolution. I have titled my latest book, The Silent Revolution Waiting in the Wings in India. And I think accreditation bodies are doing largely good work. And the most important work is making education outcome based. And also there will be emphasis on continuous and comprehensive evaluation. I am leaving internationalization. It is important, but take little time. I am taking some of the things which are more important for today's discussion. And here, uh, this is the National Research Foundation proposed and announced that it will be a reality very soon. And primary activities of NRF will be to fund competitive peer-reviewed grant proposals across all disciplines and to see it grow and facilitate research at academic institutions. Here, so far, the research grants of the central government ministries have been majorly uh, given to the central universities and IITs and IIMs. But here, I think opportunities will grow for all universities and all colleges. And this body will recognize outstanding research and progress. So improving the research ecosystem in our country will be the big endeavor or mandate for NRF. This is about regulatory changes. Instead of having more than 1 dozen regulatory bodies, there will be only one regulator, which will be called National Higher Education Regulatory uh, uh, Council, NHERC. It will be a single point regulator for all higher education sector institutions, and it will have 4 other national bodies dealing with accreditation, grants, and framing the curriculum and graduate attributes. It has been said that the institutions, education in our country has been defined by the apex court that education or higher education both are the not-for-profit activities. So legally, it is not possible currently for profit. We cannot form a company, for-profit company for running educational institutions, higher education institutions, which requires government recognition. So to curb the commercialization of education, there has been rampant corruption and the problems of the complaints of donations being sought by some institutions for admissions in management, engineering, or medical. And the Supreme Courts have taken harsh decisions. And now the uh, national education policy also speak about curbing this kind of commercialization. Uh, they have allowed higher education institutions to have reasonable surplus for their future development, but any kind of donation, seeking donation or exorbitant fees will not be allowed. I think this is very important in our higher education system. I remember the day when I got married. So I was teaching in a postgraduate college, but my sister-in-laws at the time of marriage, they were making joke of me or making calling me Master Ji. I was teaching as a lecturer in a degree called postgraduate college, but they were not impressed by my profession that I was a teacher, and they were calling me Master Ji. Master Ji, although it was a for joke's sake, but I think that the status of teacher has not been given due respect in our country, which has produced excellent teachers like Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan. But now that there has been a lot of improvement by so many policies and pay commissions, and government would like to make the faculty of higher education motivated, capable, and energized. And all kinds of factors which are making them frustrated and lethargic or stagnant, all kind of problems will be dealt by giving them better work environment, and student teacher ratio will also be improved by making it to 10 to 1 to 20 to 1. So they will be provided a career path, and of course, the good teaching and good research work will be the basic parameter, and there will be enough rewards, promotions, recognitions, and they will also be provided the positions of principals and vice chancellors. So all these things have been proposed, and I think if implemented in letter and spirit, it will definitely make faculty motivated, capable, and energized. Thank you. I have just given a general overview, and I hope that I will expect that we will have some discussion after listening to Dr. Patil, the 6 important components of education policy which have been given some preference to in this year, and NAAC is using some of them already. I have seen on the website that all the compendiums and all uh, the publications of NAAC from December 1st onwards, in each process they will have the component of national education policy. There will be questions related to national education policy. So whenever you apply, whenever you have the peer review team from the NEC, you should be ready that all of your teachers, all of your students, all of your staff are fully aware about some of the important points related to national education policy. If we are not aware, if we are not clear about the provisions of national education policy, we will not be able to achieve our target for accreditation from national bodies. So national accreditation and NEP, these are intertwined and these are interrelated. We cannot achieve NEC without following the recommendations of NEP, and NEP cannot be achieved if our accreditation bodies are not getting success. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for your wonderful insight about National Education Policy 2020 and also sharing the ideas and way ahead and the challenges and the opportunities related with NEP. So once again, we wholeheartedly thank you very much, sir, for your wonderful presentation, and we hope that in future also we'll be having you with us in the panelist for such deliberations and discussion. Once again, thank you very much, sir.
You are welcome.
Now moving ahead, yes, sir. Now moving ahead, I would request our one of the senior advisor in NAAC, Dr. Jagannath Patil sir, and also the Northern Region leader, to please share the insight about the NEPs and throw some light and his views and his ideas. I would like sir to share with all the team members. So Patil sir, please.
Thank you, Vanitaji. Can you see my presentation?
Yes, sir, it is visible, sir. We can do it full screen.
It's visible, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Professor Chaturvedi sir, for giving a wonderful keynote and providing the overview of the NEP and some kind of visionary lookout for coming decades and the challenges that we are facing too. And we would look forward to interactions on your presentations very soon. Just to add a few points, view of NAAC, because NAAC is trying to generate this discussion on certain areas identified, which are already being flagged in overview, but maybe some little more emphasis. One is about academic bank of credit, ABC as it is known. We know that UGC has already set up ABC formally, and Honorable Prime Minister launched it. This regulation has also come into existence, and it has 4 major promises. One is freedom and flexibility in the university degree granting system, standardization within Indian higher education system, integration of Indian higher education system, and a move towards the internationalization of higher education. It is considered as a major instrument for facilitating multidisciplinary and holistic education and multiple entry and exit in higher education. Some problem in moving the So this regulation enables students to select the best courses or combinations, as we know, and these choices will be more friendly to students considering associated logistics and cost of course opted. It is set up with an aim to provide students with mobility of not only moving between
Excuse me,
institutions
sir,
by
your voice is
one.
very low. Sorry.
Voice is low. Can you hear now?
Now it's okay.
Yeah, thank you. So it is set up with an aim to provide students with mobility of not only moving between the institutions, but also offers the flexibility of leaving the course and rejoining it after taking some time off from where a student has left it. So initiatives like these will make the education sector more vibrant and accessible. This is envisaged as a digital bank that holds the credit earned by a student in any course, and the ABC would reduce disparity. It is expected that it would reduce the disparity among institutions through standardization of crediting system and promote uniformity in the degree granting mechanism. It is expected that it will reduce the pedagogical gap that exists within higher education institutions, and it is considered as a move towards the internationalization of our higher education system.
इसको अरविंद को ही पकड़ा दो सारा कॉपी एपीस का पता नहीं साला आए कब ना आए इसकी एशियन अरविंद करा लेते हैं पूछ लेता हूँ या अरविंद करा लेगा उस दिन ही अरविंद ने करा लेगा सारा
So
कॉपी
I think many of you are already aware about the details of the regulations.
ज्योति वाला को ना वो थर्ड ईयर में है ना उसमें टाइम कम है तीन तीन दो तीन तीन दो तीन
I
सेकेंडरी
think
तीन तो ये
Vinita ji,
देखो
someone is
तो
speaking.
जनवरी में आके उनका फिर बाद में
May I
कवरिंग
kindly
करना
request all the participants to please mute
Second
yourself. It's disturbing the speaker.
तीन दिन सेक्रेटरी या
Please
दो दिन
mute
सेक्रेटरी
yourself.
तीन दिन शायद तीन दिन थर्ड ईयर में कम है अगर बिगिनिंग को ना इनको आदत तो पड़े ना देखते हैं क्या करते हैं ये जैसे ये लगातार आप छुट्टी का ध्यान हाँ संडे का रखा है 14/8 का संडे का हाँ सैटरडे के चलने दिया
I think
Dr.
we have
N.K.
issue.
Agarwal.
Somebody is
मैंने
speaking.
वो छुट्टी नहीं सैटरडे से डाल दिया
Very
इसमें
loud.
जैसे ना
Dr.
जो
N.K. Agarwal, please mute yourself.
ठीक है यहाँ की जाती रहेगी बाकी
Dr. Agarwal,
ये जैसे आज
Dr. Agarwal, it's a kind request. Please mute yourself.
Dr. N.K. Agarwal, kindly mute yourself.
हाँ हाँ आज शुरू है ना हाँ हाँ तो उसको हर से यहाँ काट के हर्षिक देंगे ये भी कौन सा भी बात जा रहा है
Dr. Agarwal, Dr. N.K. Agarwal,
वो
please
देखिए मैं
mute
कहना यहाँ
yourself.
हर्ष काटेंगे तो हमारे पास ही तो रहना है
Ma'am, I request you, please do yourself. I think from your side you do that.
Most
Yeah, ma'am.
team, please, team, organizing team, please mute him.
ICT unit, can you?
Dr. Agarwal, please mute yourself.
हाँ वो भी
Sandu
कर
sir,
देता हूँ
ICT team, can you please do the needful?
मैंने कहा था पहले ये तो शुरू करो ना तो बात ही कर लो ना अब भाटी से बात करनी है क्या इशू है और से बात करनी है अपनी बात करें तो ऐसा है
Dr. Agarwal, please mute yourself.
में तो बात करूंगा मैं उससे.
Patil sir, you may proceed, please.
Oh, it's okay.
Actually, this is one challenge of ICT. We have been last 2 days. We have been doing programs in another mode where only speakers can mute or unmute themselves. But it was causing some discomfort because we were having some eminent people, and they were faceless, and we thought it is not a good idea to have a faceless meeting. We could actually enable everyone. So, but sometimes it so happens that people are unable to. We need to come out with some guidelines for the digital responsibilities or digital something like that. Maybe it's all right. So I will skip the presentation. I'll just highlight the few points that NAAC is envisaging as a part of its accreditation procedure now. We have
Your
already
slide,
tried to
sorry, your
integrate-
slide is not coming, I think.
No. I have stopped my slides.
Oh, I see. Okay.
I'll just share few points that will be much easier so that I can adjust my time and manage the noise which comes in between. So these are some points that NAAC has already started integrating, and from 1st December onwards, you will see that all the assessment and accreditation procedure manuals will see the one very important parameter, that is institutional preparedness for NEP implementation. We have already worked on it, and it will be there in the all manuals. So those institutions which are preparing for NAAC accreditation, they would have to fill up that part, that how prepared they are in terms of the NEP. And the few key points that I mentioned, I think the issue of multidisciplinary and interdisciplinary character of institution has been well explained by Chaturvedi ji. I will just focus on the academic bank of credits, which I was trying to share some slides, but I think I will skip that, and we'll see that what NAAC is looking forward. Again, ministry has entrusted NAAC this responsibility of interacting with all accredited institutions and see to it that they align themselves with the ABC, and that's why our manual will be now asking questions like what are the initiatives taken by institutions to fulfill the requirement of ABC, then whether the institutions have registered for ABC, and how the institution is taking efforts for seamless collaboration, internationalization of education, joint degrees, and so on. And if they are having any good practices. In terms of skill development, the NAAC would be asking details about the efforts of the institutions to strengthen the vocational education and soft skills of students in alignment with NSQF. Then we will be looking forward for the details of the program offered to promote vocational education and its integration into mainstream education. We will be also looking for how institution is providing value-based education to inculcate positivity among the learners that include the development of humanistic, ethical, constitutional, and universal human values of truth, righteous conduct, peace, love, non-violence, scientific temper, citizenship values, and also life skills and so on. Now coming to another important point of Indian knowledge system, NAAC will be also looking forward to, as NEP is envisaging that every institution should make some kind of efforts. What kind of, particularly for universities, what is their strategy regarding integration of IKS and teaching in Indian language culture into curriculum using both offline and online courses. We will be looking forward to the efforts of the institutions to preserve and promote Indian languages such as Sanskrit, Pali, Prakrit, classical, tribal, and various endangered languages. Then Indian ancient traditional knowledge, Indian arts, Indian culture and traditions. So how we are trying to integrate this in our current mainstream education will be also a focus. Obviously, outcomes-based education has been talked a lot, and there is an emphasis already. NAAC has key indicators on that. They are currently qualitative metrics. But again, we will be looking forward to institutional efforts to arrive at having specific graduate attributes, program-specific outcomes, course-specific outcomes, how they are evaluating these outcomes about the students. This is an important criteria that we will look forward to. And finally, we know that millions of students are waiting to enter into formal higher education system now, and our GR target is 50% by 2035. So even for that, the current infrastructure of our country is not suitable, not adequate, and it is grossly inadequate. So therefore, the policy has envisaged that many universities and institutions should get into the distance education, and the new variety now that we are getting used to is about online education. So how the institutions are prepared now for this new type of education, blended form of education, and while doing that, how the quality of that provisions is evaluated internally also, and externally the agencies like NAAC also can do that. So I just tried to touch upon few points from where we would like you to share your thoughts. What are the challenges that you see in terms of implementing these policy initiatives, and what could be the suggestions that you would like to offer? NAAC will not be able to do all the things. We are an accreditation agency. We act as a stimulator of good practices. We consider ourselves as a facilitator of quality culture. If there are some good practices offered by some good institutions like say BIMTech or maybe IGNO or maybe some good institutions, we share it across the sector and try to promote that. So NEP also is this kind of a visionary document, and it is our responsibility to ensure that institutions are trying to align themselves with the new education policy. So with this brief intervention, I would like to stop and then invite the learned academicians to contribute to the discussion. You can ask questions also, but you can take those observations also. It is not necessary that you can just ask question. So maybe you can raise the hands and then we can start one by one. I request Vinita ji to invite the people on the basis of their raising hands. And maybe Professor Chaturvedi will respond, and if there are some questions targeted to NAAC, intended for NAAC, I will reply those questions. Bhaskar Saab, you can.
Before we invite any participants for introduction, one request that kindly keep your mic on mute until you are speaking to the forum, because it disturbs others. I can see Dr. R. Bhaskar, he has raised his hand. You may please unmute yourself and ask the question. We have with us Dr. Harivansh Chaturvedi ji and NEC panelist also, so we would try to respond to it. Bhaskar sir, you may please unmute yourself and ask the question.
Thanks to NAAC for the excellent talk by the speakers. I really enriched myself. My only question is, next year, Indian government is planning to open campuses, foreign campuses, and that will be a disruptive education model, which will change the whole dynamics of all education sector. I want some comments from the leading experts who are given the lectures. It will change the whole system of evaluation. I'm very sure, just like Ola, Uber, and other technologies which are disruptive in higher education, this is going to be a game changer, opening foreign campuses, and how we are going to deal with it and what parameters would be required. I would like to listen to the learned experts.
Can I reply?
Hello? Yes,
sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So I think that the government Ministry of Education, they have not allowed all kinds of foreign universities and colleges to set up their campuses in India, and they have given a rider that the top 100 universities of the world, they will be permitted. Now it is a tough question. Universities like Harvard, Yale, Stanford, these schools like London Business School or INSEAD or Harvard Business School, would they like to have their campuses in India? So far, they have not set up their campuses in any part of the world. Only INSEAD has set up a campus at Singapore. So universities leading, the Ivy League universities, they have not gone outside their native country like USA or Europe. So I think we should not be afraid that these biggies will come, and the night by flight by night operators, as per the government announcement, will not be allowed. Similarly, top institutions from India, top universities, as according to any yardstick like NIRF or NAAC accreditation, they will be allowed to set up their campuses abroad. So I think technology will not provide you any protection. The disruptive technology will open that world education, higher education will be a single market. In spite of COVID, more students have left India to join courses in US and Europe. Kindly take notice of it, that people, in spite of all hardships, particularly rich people, affluent people, upper middle class people, they want to have quality education either in India or outside India. So I do not foresee any danger that Harvard Business School or Yale University or Stanford or Cambridge will come and set up their campuses, because they are happy with their current status. They have big endowments. You may be knowing very well the Harvard University endowment is around 150 billion US dollar, out of which the B school is having their own 40 billion US dollar out of this. So they have big pockets. Why should they go? When people are coming from all over the world and government is getting more income from foreign students, American economy is getting lot of strength because lakhs of students are coming from all over the world. So don't care about this problem. At least for
Thank you, sir. Thank you
at least
for
for
the
next 10 years.
clarification.
At least for next
Thank
10
you, sir.
years, there is no danger.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Now,
I think
I see.
Professor
Yes, sir.
Sumitra Kukredi ji, Pro Vice Chancellor of IGNO. Madam, you can unmute yourself.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor Chaturvedi. Actually, I completely agree with you that though we don't face any challenges yet from the foreign institutions, but even then, public institutions, as you have already mentioned in your lecture, that public institutions will definitely face challenges from the private institutions in India. As we have already noticed that there are some very good public private institutions which have emerged in India, like we have Ashoka University, we have Jain University, Amity, and various other institutions. So definitely, and the government share that it used to provide to institutions, public institutions, university education, college system, this share has been shrinking because government is not providing enough funds to these public institutions. So I'm afraid that our public institutions will face this threat from the private institutions which are cropping up largely in India. So what can be the solution, or how can, if this scenario continues for 10 next years, so how shall we be able to improve our GER by 50% till 2035, and by 35% till 2030, as it has been envisaged in national education policy? Can you see any solution?
My hunch or my assessment of the situation is, it is based on some facts, evidences that government has many pressing issues, many priorities. And every time every 5 years, any government has to uh, get its re-elected, any political party or group of political party. So in India, total uh, is expenditure on education in total, school education as well as higher education, has not increased more than 3.5% of the GNP. And from 68, I'm so sad to say that for last 55 years or so, we are talking about spending 6%. It was the suggestion of Kothari Commission that India should spend 6% of GNP on education. So
In
COVID has devastated our preparedness and our weakness of our public health. So I think India cannot achieve sustainable growth in education without spending 6%, minimum 6% of GNP on education, and helping its public institutions like central universities and state public universities, and private institutions. They are not getting any aid from the government. So they have, on paper, they are not for profit, but they have certain ownership, sense of ownership. For you and myself, we are working for a time period, and we are not owner. We have come, we may go. Some other person may come, he may or she may go. So I think unless India resolves, or Indian government of India resolves that we should spend 6% of GNP. The GST has increased government income to large extent, but government has lot of priorities, and election, intellectuals like you, all you are leaders. We do not have any political affiliation, and I do not know that what political affiliation we can have directly when we are sitting on a responsible position. But at least we should speak in collective voice that school education and higher education are public good, at least for large number of Indian people. 70-80% people cannot afford the fees of Ashoka University or BIMTech. They can study only in public universities where there is a big subsidy of government. But the budget of higher education is shrinking. It is mostly spent on government institutions. So the state central institutions and state public universities are not getting any capital grant, big capital grant to take care of their future expansion or their infrastructural improvement. I read one news story 10 years back. The Vice Chancellor, Mr. Deepak Nayyar, 10-15 years back, that the grant Delhi University is receiving from the Ministry of Education is enough to take care only salary of teachers and staff and also whitewash. Beyond this, they do not get any grant and they cannot increase the fees. The students are paying the fees less than whatever they have paid in a school, public school. So these are all political issue. Public university, central or state cannot increase the fees. And fees of MBA and FMS is around 25,000 per annum for MBA, and they are getting a package of 20 lakhs, 30 lakhs. But as a policy, we cannot increase the fees. And government will not improve the funding of higher education more than whatever they are spending. This is my view as an academician. I have no political ambitions.
I think all of us need to think about these issues because definitely we can't raise the fee, and the private institutions are free to charge any amount, and the larger the amount, the heftier the fee, the greater the repetition. So that is the biggest challenge public institutions are facing at present. Thank you.
Yeah, madam, I think this interesting discussion, I would like to add one different perspective from the quality dimension also. One striking feature that we note across the years of assessment is that the hugely funded government institutions continue to show a dismal performance not only in the rankings at international level, but in terms of NAAC accreditation also. Most of the government colleges will be C grade or D grade. It will be, very few colleges that could get B or something like that. Somehow, some good central universities or some universities make it to the higher level of accreditation. But generally, in terms of quality assurance or ranking, the public funded institutions are not doing well. That is one stark reality I would like to show. In contrast, private institutions, not all I mean to say, but many of the private institutions, they struggle a lot, they make a lot of efforts, and then they appear, in ranking at higher slots. In accreditation also, we see them, achieving higher grades comparatively. If you see the next chart of accreditation, most of the deemed universities or these universities would be seen with high grades. So there is one contrast in that, and I would like to present you one. Maybe you are aware, all of you, that international scenario also. Majority of the top ranked institutions, so-called top ranked, highly named and famed institutions, they are all private institutions. All most of the Ivy League big institutions in USA or UK or in Australia, they are internationally. They are all private institutions. Private, not many of them are private, not for institutions. Even in India also, I completely endorse the fact that we need to increase our funding, government funding, not only 6%, even higher, so that GR has to be increased. But the fact remains that as on today, whatever GR we are achieving, majority share comes from the not-for-profit private institutions. And if we want to achieve that GR 50% or higher, we cannot afford to discount the contribution of the not-for-profit private higher educations, and we need to perhaps think of a new paradigm or a different paradigm that other countries have. Like in US, there may be a voucher system where students are free. If they are getting scholarship, they are free to go to any institution and claim that scholarship, provided that institution is accredited. So even I spent time in Japan for 1 year last year, they have this similar policy. 70% higher education institutions in Japan, which is known for very high quality. It's the country known for a quality. 70% of HEIs are private HEIs, private universities, all the private universities, and they also get some top-up government grant because government is keenly aware that these private higher education institutions are contributing to GR, to the quality of higher education. So there is another discourse available. So perhaps we need to, think little out of box, and while NEP is giving us various possibilities, these issues can also be discussed. I'll stop talking. I think Professor Babli Moita Saraf has been raising hands since long.
Thank you very much, Dr. Patil and Professor Chaturvedi. This was an extremely, am I audible? This was an extremely enlightening talk. I actually would wish to, I'm principal in Indraprastha College for Women, which is NAAC accredited. We have finished first cycle in 2016 and we got an A grade, 3.33 CGPA. But I wish to comment on, I want to flag 3 issues for our own sort of discomfiture with an accreditation system which emphasizes quality but depends entirely on quantification. This has been a very big problem. Nowhere can you insert the quality of the institution. For instance, Indraprastha College happens to be the oldest women's college of the University of Delhi, and it is predominantly a liberal arts college. Any woman who achieved education in the 1920s, 30s, etc., we are going to go on to 100 years, has had to pass through the portals of Indraprastha College. However, we slid 30 points in NIRF this year, much to our dismay. Now, I wish to therefore flag our discomfiture with the accreditation system, which treats, which has a one-size-fits-all policy. For instance, in a liberal arts institution, predominantly liberal arts institution, is going to attract very little research projects and research publication also. There's a whole, if you see the best institutions of the world, their research publication in a quality journal takes 2 years when it goes through peer review, etc., and everything. Whereas in the sciences, it's a different deal altogether of publication. Quality as well as quantity of publication. So I wish to bring to your notice, or at least draw your attention to this sort of a non-equilibrium state of liberal arts colleges and science colleges which also offer science. The second thing I would like to flag is, something which is also has a gendered implication, which is in terms, I mean, I know it is passé, especially as in a women's institution, to talk about the number of women who go out to work and the kind of jobs that they can get. Because, if you do student progression, these things become important in your parameters. Now, those students do not really take education anymore to get married, though we've had that situation back in the old times. But the quantity of salary also is an indicator of how well you are doing. Now, from a women's college perspective, I think that is a very, very unfair parameter with which to judge an institution by and large. There may be, recruiters who come and they offer huge salaries to women, and we know that, for instance, Mrs. Naina Lal Kidwai was one of the highest salary, but she was in the corporate sector. But to get there, I'm talking about student data, which is acquired at the level of NAAC during the accreditation process. The third thing I wish to flag this year, particularly in the second cycle when we have applied, is the whole idea of student feedback. Now, in the first cycle, we were fortunate enough to have a physical inspection of the college. In the second cycle, all our data was collected, as in all the institutions, online. And NAAC wanted the previous 5 years student data, their email IDs, etc., to send out emails to them. Now, sir, I've been in education or as an educator for 41 years now. I think I may be one of the most senior people teaching students in the university, at least. But I wish to say that I come from a college with a very distinguished alumni status. I studied in St. Stephen's. I taught in Ramjas College. I'm the principal of IP College. These are ancient colleges. No students, if you want to net student feedback, students when they leave their colleges are not that involved with the college so as to give feedback as and when dated by NAAC. Secondly, in the COVID situation in particular, in the second surge when we were applying for accreditation, only 13% of the students responded. We must appreciate the context in which students were receiving mails. I mean, this was a horribly distressing situation for the entire country, on the entire world, and particularly educational institutions where students were actually grappling with life and death situations to respond to NAAC in feedback. I would like to flag this as maybe one of the vulnerable areas. Maybe this needs to be fine-tuned, calibrated more to see whether you can get student feedback in of existing students who we don't even take feedback. We take feedback from our students electronically, but only and anonymously, but only of students who have come to class, that is, have at least a 66.6% attendance. This is before pre-COVID days. What I wish to say are these three things: one size fits all, and quantification of data does not necessarily translate into quality. Secondly, the gendered space of work and employment and salaries is something that cannot be a standardized data for judging institution and student progression. Should not be. It is, but should not be in our country in particular. And the third thing, as I said, was that quantum of research and quality of research cannot be the same as well as the student feedback system needs to be calibrated and geared towards actually getting feedback of an institution which is work in progress. Excellence is never a goal. I mean, it's not an attained goal. It's always a progression. So these are the three things that I wish to say. I've been extremely enlightened by this, and I really look forward to the implementation of the National Education Policy, which I hope will be able to negotiate the basic inequalities of our education system, as has been pointed out by colleagues and administrators alike. And I hope that NAAC and other accreditation and ranking bodies takes notice of this inherent difference of institutions where can we insert qualitative work. This is what my concern is, sir, when you talk about quality and then look at quantification as the only parameter of that quality. This is a concern with us, me and my faculty. My IQAC coordinator is also part of this meeting. It has been an extremely urgent concern with us, that how do we negotiate this? Thank you very much. And we must know that when we get women in, they come from all economic classes. some of them have to hide from their families to seek education. They don't take afternoon classes, they don't take practical classes. I think that we are, as a 100-year-old women's college, we've seen it all. And I'm so glad that that 4-year policy is there, where there are multiple exits, because it is very gender friendly. It is very gender friendly, apart from it being economic class friendly, because students can opt out and then have access back into the system. Our students go away to get married, they have children, then they want to come back, and they can come back and join only as ex-students. So I'm very glad, as with the very maligned 4-year undergraduate program, that the new education policy has a inbuilt structure where students have a possibility of re-entering the system as a formal a student. Thank you very much for your patience. I hope that I have been able to say what I really needed to say in this
Thank you,
meeting
madam.
after hearing all of you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, madam. I think in general, these observations are about NAAC process. So, Chaturvedi sir, I think is there anything particular to comment, or we can skip and move to another person for?
If you wish, you can respond. But my personal view is that these are the valid points. Although there are challenges before accreditation bodies, that how to apply different kind of parameters for different kind of institutions, because many times rural colleges and rural universities also raise their points that they face difficulties getting teachers and getting good students. But I think gender related issues in our country, government is taking cognizance, society is taking cognizance. There has been lot of progress in our gender related issues, and we can find out solution to these problems. But it is up to the NAAC and the Ministry of Education. Here, this is my personal view. We should give due consideration to these ideas. These are the ideas, you accept or not, but these are the good ideas. I remember when first school was opened by social reform Savitri Bai Phule in 1850 something, first school for girls, stones were thrown on Savitri Bai Phule, and she has to look around some rented accommodation. Some lawyer, Muslim lawyer, has provided his accommodation to run the school, and now Savitri Bai Phule is a revered leader of our country.
Sir, Indraprasth School began in 1906. So,
Yes,
we are looking at, I'm sorry, yeah, so we are looking at a very, very old history, and similarly, we had to provide covered buggies.
Madam, you are heading a very prominent, reputed college of Delhi, where many literators and writers and eminent personalities have studied. So
I humbly acknowledge that. I'm still concerned, sir. I'm still concerned, very concerned. Thank you for your patience.
Thank you, madam. I think I just briefly respond to that. It is not justification, and we appreciate the need for having, acknowledging the diversity that our country has and the uniqueness that every institution has, and that needs to be evaluated properly. Therefore, I think whenever we talk about our own framework, and I was partly responsible as a convener of the framework which we have designed, this quantitative plus qualitative. We always say that everything that is counted does not count, or everything that counts is not necessarily counted or countable. So there is a dichotomy always in terms of quantifying the quality, but unfortunately the world, the policymakers, the society, they recognize the numbers. They would like to ask you, what is your grade, what is your score, in rankings. They would like to know. Even Government of India has decided that if only those universities which are ranked up to certain numbers can come to India. So we like it or not, quantification has become essential part of the system of evaluation and perception building. It is also a perception about the institutions. Not everybody will be knowing your institutions personally. So I think that has become, and so NAAC is having these challenges. As of now, we have 13 different varieties of manuals. So, but we know that even if we make 50, that will not be sufficient. So because such a huge diversity our country has. Even though we don't have a separate instrument for assessing management colleges, we don't have a separate instrument for engineering colleges. So there are challenges, and we have tried our best giving various flexibilities within the system to the institutions. And we hope as the new policy unveils, implementation comes, it is envisaged that there will be multiple accreditation agencies. NAAC may become a super agency. We will be mentoring perhaps many accreditation bodies. And then perhaps there could be an accreditation agency exclusively looking for women's colleges. That possibility is also there. So, or there could be agency for, tribal colleges or, affiliating colleges. That kind of possibilities are there in future, and we will see how the situation develops. But your concern is noted, acknowledged, and we hope NAAC will not do injustice to you when you are getting evaluated in near future. So I think quite a few eminent experts are waiting. I see Professor Ramesh Kumar, you wanted to say something? I was seeing
Yes,
your
sir.
mic on. Yes, sir. Thank you. Your mic is not.
Patil sir, I think one Professor Renu Bali, she has raised her hand from a long time.
Sure. So maybe now we can ration the time. Professor Ramesh Kumar, can you
Yes,
finish
sir.
in 2 to 3 minutes? Then we will
Yes,
go
yes,
to
yes,
Professor
yes,
Renu.
yes. Less than that. Thank you, sir, for giving me opportunity to share my anxiety with you. I'm a small principal of a very small college in Trans Jamna, Samlal College Evening. We are in periphery. We are in periphery, and I'm very thankful to the entire NAAC team, especially Professor Chaturvedi, who awared us, updated us so concisely and so candidly, and he shared things which are very real on the ground. Sir, till India gets some kind of digital facility, now we have very symmetrical digital facility throughout India. We don't have a internet facility, we don't have tower, we don't have Wi-Fi in the college. And your proposal to have a online education throughout the session is not possible. It could be possible only on a very temporary mode, in transitional mode, till we get fully digitalized. Education on digital mode would not be possible for a small periphery college like us, even in the the NCT. I don't know what would happen to the periphery college in the remote areas of India. Sir, beside this funding you already stated, in fact, really we are facing problem in meeting needs. Forget about quality research projects. Babliji rightly pointed out, we have no fund to promote research, quality projects, etc. Lab, magazines, journals, and fund to allow our faculty to move here and others. It's not bad to emulate Western policy or Western agenda, but we should formulate policies perhaps very close to Indian reality. And Professor Chaturvedi, I think he rightly pointed out that there are serious fund crisis, resource crunch, right from Deepak Nair to now. It is rather getting deeper and deeper, sir. So we are very thankful to you. And the last time we got B plus. This time we are trying to get A, and doing our level best to improve our college internal environment. And we would like to thank you once again to entire team for enlightening us with these deep requests. I would like to stop myself. Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot.
Professor Renu Bali.
Thank you, ma'am. I am the IQAC coordinator of Kamla Nehru College, University of Delhi. So I totally support totally support Professor Saraf, because ours is also a liberal art college, and we also face the same problems that she has highlighted while we fill in our SSR, and we are also now going for the second cycle of NAAC accreditation. My point, but today I want to discuss is on NEP. Like the speaker was saying that in forthcoming SSRs, you are going to have one section on how the colleges are prepared for implementation of NEP. Now, Kamala Nehru College or any other colleges of DU, we are the constituent colleges of DU. So for many criteria, we are dependent on the university. So how much freedom do the college get under this NEP? Which are the particular points where the college can look into for implementation of NEP, which they can do on their own? That's my question. Thank you.
You want to respond? Or
Yes,
I'll,
sir.
at the moment, madam, what we are
अच्छा क्या बोले हमारी तो दिक्कतें हो बताए नेटवर्क है नहीं कर नहीं कहाँ से कर देंगे
रमेश कुमार जी आपका स्पीकर म्यूट करेंगे मैडम आई थिंक दी present introduction of NEP preparedness in the manual is only informative purpose. We are trying to get the information on how prepared institutions are, what kind of effort they are making. That will not be evaluated. The 6 parameters that I highlighted in my talk, regarding those parameters, what institutions are trying to do, that we will try to know from your self-study report. Currently, it is limited to that only. It will not be evaluated at the moment.
Thank
Sir, I don't see. Yes, sir. Sir, I don't see.
Hand?
I don't see any other raised hand, and I think we are just near the concluding time also. So,
Sure.
So with your permission, shall we go ahead with concluding remarks and vote of thanks, sir?
I think yes. I think maybe we can request Chaturvedi sir to say a few lines to conclude, and then we can hand over to Dr. Pratibha Singh ji for vote of thanks.
Okay.
Sir, may I request for a recorded version of this? Suppose we want to listen again, because there are so many important points mentioned by you and sir. So we would like if you can share the recorded version.
Yes, yes. We will request our ICT and we will try to do needful in this matter.
Thank you.
I request our expert today's expert Harivansh Chaturvedi sir, to please say some few lines as a concluding remark, and then we can go ahead at the end of the program.
Thanks to all participants and particularly the principals of women colleges. I have been benefited by their observations, also observations made by Provisy of IGNOU, and my learning about the current challenges before women's colleges has improved. I will request NAAC and Dr. Patil that in subsequent seminars, there should be 2 speakers, one male speaker and one female speaker, so that we can delve into these realities in more depth. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I think even though
I request participants
I
to
think
kindly.
Anju Tyagi madam has raised the hand, so we don't want to miss any representation. So maybe that will be the last comment. Then I think we will move on to the closure of the event. Tyagi madam.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you very much to give me time for that, and it's really benefited us. I thanks NEC on behalf of this. I am from National Law University, Delhi, and we have an exclusive law university. So I just want to ask 2 questions about the NEP policy. First is about the ABC, that is the Academic Bank of Credit, because that we have passed from our AC body also. So I just want to know how to proceed further. The first question is, and the second thing is that what ma'am has asked about, that how our college should prepare relating to the NEP, because it is exclusively a law university. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
I missed the first question. Can you repeat it, madam, again?
The first question is about the Academic Bank of Credit, So how should we proceed further? Because the first part of it, the preliminary stage we has already done, that is we have approved from our AC and EC bodies that we are going to start the ABC, but how we proceed further, this is my query.
Okay. Madam, you can go through the regulation. You need to register to the ABC. There are certain prerequisites for the registration. Perhaps accreditation by NAAC will be one prerequisites. You can go through the regulation. There is a dedicated website available. And I think, but at least within institutions, you can start the things to enroll into the national network. There are certain conditions that you can have a look at the regulations and the website also. And as regards to questions, yeah, I think you have a separate manual now. We have a separate manual for the law institutions. So that will be there. And about NEP, again, only general questions are asked, not evaluative questions. So that is the current status.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much, sir, for clarification. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. Now, may I request the participant to please switch on your video for some seconds so we can just take a snapshot and a screenshot as a memory of today's event. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Sir, you can see that it is a female-dominated frame.
Yeah, it's taken. Thank you, one and all. So now,
hello. Hello.
Yes, madam.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. Actually, I wanted to say in between also, I have also one query, if you can handle it, last query of mine.
Yes.
Because yeah, during these pandemic times, we all have faced lot of challenges. I am director from Trinity Institute of Professional Studies affiliated to Guru Gobind Singh Indraprastha University. So now the admissions also have been taking place at this time. This means that everything has been delayed. Now my only query is that when all these things have delayed admissions also, then the 5-year duration which has been given for the institutions who have been NAAC accredited, that the second cycle will be there after 5 years and they have to submit the report that is 6 months prior to it and so on. So will there be consideration for this pandemic timing and the timings can be extended accordingly? Because admissions also for the both 2 years have been delayed.
Dr. Vinita, would you like to respond?
I think, sir, we are already, madam, we are already giving lots of extension with all the parts of the process. Maybe it is IAQA, SSR extension, AQR. So you just have to raise a query to NAAC and then we will be able to do the needful. Apart from that, I think academic year extension also we have given even the data submission for self-study report. For that also we have given some kind of concession kind of thing. You can just go through NAAC website. There are relevant circular and notification with regard to this. You can make use of it, madam.
Yes, ma'am. We got actually extension with respect to AQAR, but my query is with respect to SSR also, because these 2 years.
You can raise a request of SSR extension using your support help desk from your HEI portal. Then needful would be done.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am, for that. And second, last also is there that research projects, although all these things have already been discussed right now here also, but my this concern is that the affiliated institutions, although we are 12F and we have gone in for 12F, but government institutions are only getting research project proposals approved by most of the whatever bodies are there we are providing. That becomes a real challenge for affiliated institutions to come up with the research projects.
Madam, this I think
how we have to overcome it.
Yeah, if your college is an affiliated college, I think you have an option of opt-out metric also. So if some of the metric, because of some reason, it is not suiting to you, or if you feel that your performance would not be good for that particular metric, you can make use of opt-out metric also. But though being a body who is undertaking assessment accreditation, it is our responsibility to encourage the institution to go ahead for research and at least try for some research projects, maybe minor projects, major projects, etc. So that is why those questions are being asked. But we anticipate and we expect that institution must really do good in this direction also. Thank you. Pratibha,
Okay,
ma'am,
thank
you
you,
would
ma'am.
like to
Thank
add anything to this? Okay, so now I think now we can go ahead with formal vote of thanks. So I request Dr. Pratibha Singh, Deputy Advisor at NEP, to please propose formal vote of thanks. Then we can close the event. Pratibha, ma'am, please.
Thank you, Dr. Vinita. Am I audible? Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Thank you everyone for participating very enthusiastically in this particular event in which we tried to incorporate the basic themes of NEP in the form of assessment and accreditation, and how the NAAC is addressing these challenges and issues of NEP which are highlighted to drive the institutions towards implementing the national education policy. It's now my privilege to propose a vote of thanks. So I would like to begin with my head of the organization, Professor S.C. Sharmaji, Director NAAC. He is very motivating and different distinguished personalities, and very encouraging all of us. So I am thankful to him for providing all kind of administrative and academic support. I would like to thank today's chief guest of Professor Harivansh Chaturvedi, Director by MET. So he has highlighted very important points in his presentation, and what are the challenges that are coming and that will be faced by the institutions, specifically the point towards the GNP and the investment in the education, and how the education can be treated as a public good and should not be treated like a commercialization. So all those aspects are very useful for all the stakeholders, and he highlighted very important point that academics should speak in a collective wise, like we should not be separately speaking of some challenges, but some important things academics need to speak about, like increasing the investment in education and so on. So we are highly delighted and benefited with his address. Now, I would like also to thank our advisor, Dr. Jagannath Patil, for leading the activities of the Northern region, and he is motivating all of us for doing these activities, for undertaking these tasks at full enthusiasm. I would like to thank other colleagues, specifically Dr. Vinita Sahu and Dr. Shyaam Singh Inda, for coordinating these activities, and all the stakeholders who have been collectively interacting with each of us. Thank you one and all. Last not least, all the entire ICT team for supporting this activity technically. Thank you everyone. Thank you very much.
Thank you, madam. So we just would like to bring to kind notice of all of you, like this webinars, we are doing a series of webinars for different regions. So Northern region also we are having upcoming webinars in the series. All the webinar details with registration link and timing is hosted in NET website. So if you are interested in such upcoming webinars and if you would like to listen to different experts about NEP, then you do register yourself and join the program. With this, we would like to thank all of you. Yes, sir.
Excuse me, ma'am. We don't have anything for Uttar Pradesh.
Presence.
Yes, sir, 1 minute. Patil sir would like to share some information with all of you. Yes, sir.
No. I just wanted to acknowledge the presence of Dr. Ishwar Basav ji, Director of Moraji Desai National Yoga Institute. I think if we had known earlier, we could have used these inputs for integration of IKS into mainstream education. I think yoga's integration into various parts is very important. Maybe we invite you for the next sessions, and
Thank you, sir.
any one of you, if you have developed some expertise in terms of NEP related aspects, we will be happy to invite you for the next session. And my personal thanks again to Dr. Chaturvedi ji for taking time out of his busy schedule, and to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Patil sir. Thank you, Patil sir. And my request is put it in this entire lectures. If you streamline and put it in social media or YouTube or something, so that anybody can go, and as and when they are free, they can do. Because earlier two lectures were very, very informative, and they can make edit properly and put it in the your YouTube channel, something like that. Next time I will be very happy to share integration of yoga. Thank you, sir.
My request is the same, and just one line more. Vinita madam had mentioned we should register. The topic is same or different in each of the seminars?
Topic would be same. Deliberation.
But perspective will be different.
Yes.
Okay.
Ma'am, sorry, I could not find any link for Uttar Pradesh section. Is it coming or is it by mistake it has happened?
Uttar Pradesh, you would find in eastern region, sir. You just try to find.
It is not there actually.
Yeah,
It
then
is
they
not
must
there.
be then they must be
Yeah.
uploading soon, sir. You can check the website regularly.
Okay. Thank you.
Madam, Uttar Pradesh is missing.
Yeah, it will come, madam. It will come. Maybe within a day or two, they will host. So we got an enormous appreciation about this webinar in chat section also. So once again, thank you to all the participants, panelists, and the keynote speaker Chaturvedi sir. And on behalf of NEC, we thank you each one of you and hope to see you for upcoming webinars also. So with this, we can close this program. I request ICT to please close the meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.